Hello everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. Today I am continuing my series of reviews by taking a look back at Countdown number 44. Countdown, known as Countdown to Final Crisis for its last 24 issues, was a comic book limited series published by DC Comics. It debuted on May 9th, 2007. So since this is a countdown, the story order for the numbering is backwards. So you start with issue 51 and read down to issue 1, which is what I've been doing. And be sure to check out my previous reviews or read the previous issues if you haven't already, so you are able to follow along with this comic as the story picks up right where the last one ended. So issue 44 is written by Paul Dini and Adam Beechin. The pencils are by Carlos Magno, the inks are by Jay Lestine, and the colors are again by Rod Reese. The cover is by Ed and Maria Benez, and I really like his pencils, as I've mentioned before, and I haven't seen one with his wife on it as well, so I think she must have done the colors on it. So starting off, the cover's pretty awesome. I like it. It's got Monarch, who is a villain. It's kind of a simple cover, I guess, in a way. It's just him on it with some flames and stuff in the background. So he's a pretty interesting villain, and he features prominently in this issue. So starting off on the first page, it says Krakow, and we see Mary Marvel, and she says, "Where? Hello? Is anyone here?" A word bubble off to the side says, "Just you and me, Mary." And she says, "Billy, Cap." And we go to the next page, and we get this great splash page, and it says The Rock of Eternity. So Shazam is standing. And then we see the name of the issue. It's called Changes of Address, and get the credits for everyone who worked on it. So we go to the next page, and it's Mary Marvel now talking to Billy Batson, and she says, "Billy, what happened to you?" And he says, "It's kind of a long story," because his outfit's the solid white one now. And he says, "Near as I can figure it, after Shazam died, the books of magic sort of got rewritten. Basically, he is the Rock of Eternity, and the Rock of Eternity is him." So I don't really understand what all that means. But the main thing here that happens that affects the story is, Shazam here asks her what she's been up to, and she's like, "I've been looking for you and for Freddy for forever." And he's like, "I brought you here because there's a problem, kind of a big one." And then the scene changes, so we're left hanging on that one. And we pick up here, it is the Forerunner, this super powerful blue woman here. You see on the bottom panel. So she's walking down an alley, and the Monarch here, he says, "The monitors, your masters, call you Forerunner. Until now, you've never asked why. No, you've just obeyed." And she says, "Who dares?" And she throws all these little spines at him, and they just hit him and don't do anything. And he says, "It's because they see you as forerunners of a race that could threaten them. They fear you and your people. They told you that much. I suspect there's a good deal more they've kept hidden from you." And she says, "Whoever you are, you lied." She runs up and hits him, and she's talking about how the monitors have always protected her people. And he says, "No, they used you. You're just like an animal to be killed when your task is completed. Look how easily they cast you aside." And she still keeps saying, "No, it's not true." But eventually he convinces her and tells her, "I am the Monarch. If the glory of battle burns brightly in your heart, then I will show you a war the likes of which no god or man has ever seen." And she's like, "I don't deserve such an honor." And he says, "Come with me and I'll show you the path to greater glory." And they both leave. So we pick up with our boy Jimmy Olsen. And if you've been following along, as I hope you have, Jimmy Olsen has been developing superpowers. He doesn't know why, he just has them sometimes. He's moved like the Flash, and he's been able to stretch like Plastic Man. But they only happen when he is in great danger. So, genius Jimmy has decided to go walk around on the bad side of town and basically try to get into a fight by being stupid. So he's walking around and he sees these guys and he says, "Sup fellas, how about them Metros?" And they say, "Metros suck, we're Yankees fans." And they're like, "In fact, we're on the way to a game now. Maybe we take your cameras to get some pictures and take your money so we can buy tickets and take your shoes just because." And Jimmy's like, "Oh yeah, you and what army?" And he kicks the one guy just in the knee. It's kind of like a feeble attack. And he thinks to himself, "Okay, Powers, do your stuff." And he gets punched. He gets knocked down by this guy, and he's like, oh man, I should have told Superman my plan ahead of time. So they're about to grab him, and all of a sudden he shoots out a whole bunch of spines. And they're wicked. You can see they went straight through the guy, through his legs and his torso and everything. And so the other guys say, run, everybody bounce, and the spines retract, and Jimmy Olsen's just more freaked out than ever before, and he says, I think I'm losing my mind, and runs away. So we pick up with Holly Robinson, who, well, I explained who she is in one of the previous videos, but basically she's a new Catwoman, and she has been offered sanctuary by this lady who is one of the Amazons. And you see here, she comes into this room, which is really cool looking, this big splash page. And yeah, it's a secret hangout for the Amazons. And we pick up, so far, every scene has been a different set of characters. I am not joking. That's why a lot of the complaints this comic does have, you know, it's pretty well liked, but it does have some complaints. And that's one of the things. Like, you have to know a lot of the characters, and it jumps around and all that. So I'm here to try and help explain it for everybody. So far there's been Mary Marvel and Shazam, and then it goes to the Forerunner and Monarch, and then it goes to Jimmy Olsen, and then it goes to the Amazons and Catwoman, and then here we pick up with the Rogues. So it's the Piper and Trickster, and they're talking about how they killed, well, they were accessories to the murder of the Flash. So yeah, the Rogues killed the Flash, and they're freaking out talking about it. You'll see in future videos what all happened, but for now it's just these two, and they're freaking out, and they're like, what are we gonna do? You know, the JLA is gonna hunt us down and kill us. So they're talking for a while, and as they're leaving we see some dialogue, and it says, do we move on them now? No, let them run, maybe they'll lead us to the others. So someone's already tailing them. And now we're back to Mary Marvel and Shazam. So they're still talking about it, and they're talking about how she had lost her powers, and then her new powers from Black Adam. So, you know, he asks her, how'd you get your powers back? And she says, the powers I have now, it came from Black Adam. He shared them with me because I asked him. And he says, you what? Are you out of your mind? You have no idea what something like that might do to you. And she says, what was I supposed to do? I woke up in a coma, I had no powers, I was totally alone. I couldn't find you, I couldn't find Freddy. What was I supposed to do? And he says, start your life over. Did you ever think maybe it was destiny that you lost your powers? And she says, you can't prove that. Did you ever think that maybe my getting back my powers from Black Adam was precisely what was supposed to happen? I have power again, Billy, and I'm going to use it for good, just like before. And if you can't approve of that, then I'll pursue my destiny alone. And she smashes through the ceiling and flies away. And that's the end of the issue. Thought it was pretty interesting. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of the history of the multiverse. We're up to chapter 6 on that. Pretty neat. This one talks about Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is really nice. And I like the art and writing on those. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Overall, I thought this was a good issue, but it was almost kind of like a filler issue, you know? I mean, not a filler issue, but, you know, just kind of an off issue where they're tying up some of the story and progressing things. But it didn't have anything super exciting like some of the previous issues did, like when Donna Troy and Red Hood were fighting Forerunner and stuff like that. But overall, you know, still good comic, and I would recommend reading this whole series, and I'll pick up with the next issue. It's pretty cool. We get to see some neat stuff with the Monarch and Forerunner. A little bit in the next issue, but even more so in the one after that, and we find out a lot more about what happened with the Flash and the Rogues. This one was basically just some foreshadowing. Alright, that's all for now, and as always, thank you for watching, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe.
End of line.